Hello, I'm Eric, and I was hired by the city of Otsego to audit and log the city's ash trees for the emerald ash borer. And during this time, this last summer, we found our first ash trees in the city that were affected. Here's one of the first ones that we found. So, what does that mean for you as a resident of Otsego? What I'll do is just go over your options and go over just different thought processes of what to decide to do with your ash trees. So my company is South Lake Ash Shield, and I I give free consultations to clients who are interested in looking at their ash trees and whether they want to have them treated or to think about having them removed. I don't do removals, but I can give you those recommendations. So briefly, what happened? Emerald ash borer was in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area since about 2009, and until 2020, 2021, it really did not make it out into the western suburbs. But the drought of last year really showed that really helped push the emerald ash borer and showed its damage quite a bit more quickly, as it did in Carver County and also as it did up here in Otsego and Elk River. So at Prairie Park, this is the first that we found in the city. That was on the first photo, and then the same day, the tech from the Department of Agriculture found a couple more in the area. So my job earlier this summer was to go through and look at the city park trees and evaluate which ones are the most valuable for the city. Ones that shade the playground areas, and particularly ones that shade the ballpark areas and other high profile trees. And here's an example of some higher profile trees that people really appreciate. You'd rather in the summertime park in the shade, as people are actively doing, than parking more in the open where you have the heat of the summer sun. So those are we would consider as be more of a valuable tree compared to the ones that may not be off to the side would be lower value. When you lose those shade aspects of the tree, you lose probably 10, 15 years of growth that you'll have to start over with, and there will be no more shade in these parking lots for businesses or the city's clients. So what we found in Chanhassen, where emerald ash borer was basically non-existent over a year ago, the drought really pushed it along, and these trees are all on their way out. This one may still be salvageable as of last year, but these others are too far gone and would have to be removed. As the bug spread and the larvae spreads in the tree, it continues to keep eating the inside live cambria tissue of the tree and slowly starts choking it out. And once it gets further down into the trunk, you see the woodpecker activity. And at this point, the tree is relatively too far gone to be saved. And the end result, it'll eat all the live tissue and completely choke and kill the tree out. This picture I took in Red Wing last summer, and what will happen is the emerald ash borer within 3 to 5 years will take out basically 100% of the trees. Here you see 5 ash trees, and here you see 5 ash trees that are on their way out. So like it says, if it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So when we're surveying some of the city's trees this summer with the city parks manager, we noticed this tree, this ash tree that was thinning out, and it was showing quite heavily the signs of emerald ash borer. Trees that are in a drought area or in a dry area under stress will get attacked first. The rest of the neighborhood, most of the neighbors had ash trees, as you can see in the background. They're still in good shape, maybe because it was being irrigated or maybe just had a little better soil. However, when the bugs take care of these trees, they'll move on to the next one. So it's only a matter of a couple years where all the trees will start getting to be affected. So what can you do? You can do a hardware store. You could do there's if you're comfortable with using chemicals, the hardware store has some options that you can do. And I also use a professional chemical that lasts for 2 years within the tree that is injected. That has the longest length or most proven record. So here's my contact information if you'd like to contact me on that. And this just shows the difference between the different options. These are more of what's available to the public, and this triage has the, as you can see, the best results on controlling emerald ash borer in your ash trees. So what I do in my free consult, I'll go through and look at what trees that you have, and then we'll talk with you what are you looking for, what would you like, and I'll make some suggestions of possibly keeping a couple of your trees, and then maybe letting a number of them go in the background because you may not notice that they're there, or the stand might need to be naturally thinned. There might also be more high-profile trees or more valuable for cooling costs. For instance, this is by School No Park. This tree I marked to remove because it was off to the side and was away from the park and really wasn't giving too much shading value. This tree over here is on the private property and is shading the heat of the summer sun for the residents. And I would strongly recommend a tree like this to be saved or treated, because in the afternoon and evening, you really appreciate the filtered sun, or that shade, the shade that the tree provides. When the tree is gone, you'll notice the heat in your heating bill, or you'll notice the heat and your cooling bill increase just from that tree being there or being gone. So those are the different things I will talk to you about and help you make your decision on that. Some trees are less expensive to remove and some trees are more expensive to remove. We can treat trees for 10 to 18 years compared to the removal costs, and that's something to keep in mind. How long are you going to be in your home? How expensive is it going to be for you to remove your tree, and what value is it for shading your house? This tree I took this last fall in Crystal. This tree is on its way out. It's starting to be infected, and it might have a chance of being salvaged at that point. But usually you want to catch it ahead of time. Now this homeowner is going to lose the shading aspect that this tree is providing on their south and west side, along with the curbside value. That's something else you need to consider too, is the curbside value or the real estate value that the tree gives you in making a decision whether you want to keep it or to let it go. And when you have a tree that's over a structure, its removal cost is quite a bit higher. So typically we can treat the trees for about 18 years compared to the removal costs if you need to bring in a crane or if you have an expensive removal for another reason. I'm using this graph to show the cost comparison of removal versus treatment. I put in here the cost for an average size ash tree, an 18-inch ash tree. That'd be $144 to treat it. Here we have the costs from different removal cost averages from different cities. Some cities are more and some cities are a little bit less. This also helps too with the removal costs for more extravagant removals where they need to bring in a crane, or ones that are more easily removed where it's quite a bit less. These costs also include stumping and doing a replacement tree. But for treating it for 2 years for $144, as you can see, you can treat the tree for over 10 years plus have some money left over. You can treat the tree for 10 years compared to removing the tree, and that's something you want to consider. Do you want to see all your costs up front all at once, or do you want to spread it out over time and still hang on to the tree? Another thing to consider is how long are you going to be in your house, and how long are you going to be in your residence. Most, on average, people are in their homes for 8 years. So that's something to consider. That, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 treatments. That's 10. That's 10 years of treatments. Is still under the removal costs. And something else you might want to consider too, if you are considering removing the tree or letting the tree go, you don't have to take it out right away. Some clients will want to wait and enjoy the tree until it gets attacked, and that's definitely a legitimate response, or legitimate approach to that. The only thing to keep in mind, if you are going to let it go, don't wait until it's completely dead. When the tree is really thinned down, you can tell it's most on the way out. Get rid of it then, because the trees do turn really brittle and they can become a hazard when the larvae destroys the tree and the tree becomes really dry. So that's something to keep in mind if you are looking at letting it go. So going back to Prairie Park, here are 4 trees that that we're looking at in August and September that were higher profile, and higher value trees, and we were planning on saving these. This picture is taken September and August. Coming back in December, the trees look completely healthy in the late summer, but coming back in December, we saw how the emerald ash borer was already affecting the tree. You can see the spots up on here that we weren't able to tell earlier. So that's just showing how quickly that the ash borer can move. And part of the reason why it's attacking these trees is that this is in a parking lot island, and typically this does not have the best soil, which makes it under a little more stress. And also it's more drought prone when it's in this island, as it doesn't have as much root reach. So that's something to keep in mind when considering whether you're going to save your tree or not, about how when to start the treatment process. So if you are interested in having a free evaluation or having me come out and talk through your different options on your property, please feel free to give me a call. My phone number, please give me a call or a text. My phone number is here. You can also email me at southlake-shield@gmail.com. Along with, here's my website if you're looking for any further information, and I'll be able to give you an evaluation and also a estimate on treating your tree. So thank you, and I hope this helps with your decision on your ash tree.